the Altamont or the Moon Lake Gathering, the Moon Lake Rendezvous, the Treasure Hunters Rendezvous, the Bigfoot Rendezvous, the UFO Rendezvous, and Wild Bill, he came all the way from Oregon, and so tell me, Bill, your full name, where you're from, and tell me your story, because I know you're loaded with them.
Oh yeah. My full name is William Vernon Adams. I go by the moniker Bill, quote, Lost Adams, and that's because I'm usually out in the mountains lost most of the time. Not really much anymore, but anyhow, out in the deserts lost. And there's also a play on the Lost Adams gold mine in Arizona. And I have legality of calling myself Lost Adams because I... Anyhow, Terry wanted to hear a story in that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to relate the story of how I found the lost Briggs pocket gold mine in the California-Oregon border just below Grants Pass and that. And it's in a wilderness area now, so you can't go in, you can't claim it. Back in 2010, I'd read about this this mine, and in 1904, this kid and that had been out, and he found this chunk of rock that had a 1-inch seam of gold through it, right? Chunk of quartz. So anyhow, he goes back and tells his mom and dad and everybody, and so they take off and come back out, check it out, sure enough, and they all set it up, and that's in 1904. So the first 3 weeks, they take out 1,700 ounces of gold in a plate that's 1 inch thick. It was 6 foot at the bottom. It's 3 feet high at the back, and it comes out to within 2 feet of the front, and it goes down to 1 foot. And that was the slab. They cut it apart with axes and saws and whatever. Now this is in the mines books there's a picture of old man Briggs standing there with a chunk of gold that's as big or bigger than that in his hand in front of the mine, right? And they have a picture of that they have in the Oregon geology mines and stuff there. So anyhow, I decided, well, I found this other one. I couldn't go catch another one, and so I decided I was going to start working on this project. So I got on the internet and I started typing in and asking all the guys on the different forums down there in Southern Oregon and that, where this is at, and oh, it's here, and no, it's there, and no, it's over here, and no, it's over here. And finally ended up, it's like, you guys none of you know where it's at. Because otherwise you wouldn't be sitting there at the front of the computer. You'd be out there mining this sucker, right? So I went ahead and I started doing a little more in-depth research. And what happened was I found out that the 1904 through 1905 Salt Lake City Mining Review had sent a reporter up there in 1904 within 2 weeks of when they found that. And he stayed there for like a month or better. And so he's writing all these stories up over the next few months and years and stuff about this. And it said, one of the things that he said is they didn't know exactly where the mine was at, if it was in Oregon or it was in California, because it's right on the border. So it all keeps on going along like this, and I'm reading his stories and stuff, and okay, I pretty well know, that sounds reasonable. It looks like I can find it because it's already been found. and it meets all my criteria hunting from one of these lost mines. And
what are your criteria? Sorry to detour.
My-
but what
well,
are your criteria?
I have a set of criteria that start off with. Number one, it has to be hard rock gold, okay? They had to have brought samples back out somewhere and had them assayed, okay? That's number one. If that's not there, I'm not interested in listening to your jabberwocky BS, okay? Because unless you can prove to me that you got some hard evidence, then that means I can't find it. So the next thing that happens is we get in there, and so that meets that criteria, right? Because it's advertised in the books, and it's got the picture of the guy standing there, and so it all met. So I thought, well, okay. I keep looking through all these different old articles and stuff, and back in Josephine County, and I'm trying to find the mining, what do they call those guys? The ones that are doing the surveys for the patented mining, they're patented
Surveyors?
Mining surveyors, and I can't find any information for him, so I take off and I head down there to Josephine County and go in and I talk to the Josephine County surveyor, and he's, well, yes, we have to have something here for that, Bill. And so he helps me, and we go and hunt through not one stinking bit of paperwork on that surveyor has survived in that thing, in either the historical records or in the official records. It's been snatched. Somebody snatched it.
Huh?
We don't know when.
Yeah.
But so I thought, well, okay, that's kind of a dead end there. So the next thing, I got him and I said, okay, we know that it was surveyed. And then I looked on the Cadastral survey records, because that's the next criteria I go to. Okay, this is a method that I use to hunt for this stuff. And I look on the original survey records of the Cadastral survey, because they have notes as they're going along and they're doing their surveying, their notes, plus what they do is they draw maps. And they're not super good maps, so they're covering this whole area. So anyhow, I get a hold of this thing, and I'm looking in on the, and it's all on the internet. You can go out there to the BLM Cadastral Survey, and you can look at all this stuff. And so we get out there, and I find a map. And here's his map of that section, and I'm looking at that, and I zoom out, zoom in on it, and look down here at the bottom. Well, this is the 1923 resurvey of the California-Oregon border. Now, the reason why they had to resurvey it, because the original surveyor was a captain in the ship, and when they originally surveyed it back in the 1800s, he got paid so much money. Well, his brother was part of the the guys up, and when they came across and they hit just east of India, or just west of Indian Creek up there, they hit gold. So they stopped for 2 weeks and did nothing but mine gold right there for 2 weeks. Then they picked up, and what they did is they jumped about 10, 15 miles and bullshit wrote in their survey records, right? And then they took off at the head of clear on over there. I can't remember the name of it now. It escapes me, but that's okay. Anyhow, so what they had to do is, when they made the wilderness area, or they started doing this stuff, they had to come back in 1923 and resurvey the whole thing. Well, here down at the bottom, right on the border, just inside of the Oregon border, it said, mouth of tunnel, Briggs mine. So what I did is I took the map and I came off a Tannen Mountain, which is a known point, and I drew a line down and got the angle. And then I come over here off of the section 15 and 14, the corner marker, and I drew another line down. Now I got my crosshairs. Now I got my GPS coordinates. So I go out on Google Maps, and actually I go to Acme Mapper. Google's Maps is junk. But anyhow, I get down there and I pick that up and I put it in, and now I got me a set of GPS coordinates right there. And I know that them surveyors ain't lying. Mm-hmm. Okay? Yep. And so now I mount an expedition to go down there. And the expedition is in a little 1990 Geo Metro. It's packed and loaded with all my gear. I take off and go around out in the mountains and finally find where this camp is, to get into the wilderness area, the Red Rocks or Red Bluff wilderness area. So I get there and I camp and I take off and I got to go up over the top of the 6,000 foot mountain pass and drop down. I got to go 1,000 feet up and drop 1,000 feet back down. And I'm so beat and tired I can't even get up there all the way the first day. So I come back down, I go to bed, and I take care of all that, and I get up the next morning, and now I'm in better shape. I'm more rested, right? So I get up over the top of the pass, and I start down, and I can't find where I think that there's supposed to be trails back into this mine, right? And I see evidence that there's all kinds of markings around, and there's all kinds of human activity to been up there. So I couldn't find it the second day. So I found where they had dug out some quartz veins, and been searching there. And so I went up on Tannen Mountain, and I went up to the hub up there and found where the brass hub is, and they had a quartz vein about 60 feet long they dug out, and there was absolutely nothing up there. It was all short chinkapin, Sal stuff. And next day I thought, well, okay, I'm going to have to go up over the top, back down, and then I'm going to have to side hill it around, because it says that mine's right there, and I figured I could pick up a trail. Ain't no trail in there. But later on, I got the 1954 map, and I found out where the actual trail was, the pack trail that came up Indian Creek, crossed over the top of the ridge, came out to the mine, drops the supplies off, came back, and then cut back down, went back down Thompson Creek. And I found where that trail was, and I figured that's, I've done packing before, so worked in the mountains, building trails and all kinds of stuff. So that seemed like the logical thing. So I get out there, and I'm not finding any evidence. There's no chop marks. There's no, usually you're going to find where there's all kinds of evidence of men working around. So I get down and I come around the corner, and then all of a sudden I'm following that GPS and all of a sudden and I get right there, and I'm right on the border. I can see I am, right? And here's this big pile of white rock. And I thought, yep, that's the border. So I know that I got to be back on this side. I can't be on that side. So I keep working my way on around the side hill, and I finally find it. So here I am on my 62nd birthday on September 29th, right? Guess what? I'm sitting inside that big pocket they took out, and I'm taking a video camera. I got a video of me sitting in that pocket. And it's got that big massive old tree, that old fir tree that you could see in the pictures, right? Here's the Prince Albert can is still on the tree. There's no paperwork in it, but it's there. So Thought, all right, now I found it. So I hunted around, went to ditch, found some other places, found where the camp was, and couldn't much find anything. And I figured, okay, I need to go back and need to get my mining equipment, my metal detectors, all this other stuff, because I knew that there wasn't going to be anything in the pocket. They'd worked it out. They took 1,700 ounces out, and then they took another 300 ounces out after they dug the ditch out there, over the next month. Then when they got all done doing all that, they turn around and they sell this thing to a big mining company back east for $114,000 in 1904.
Wow.
Yes. And that's where the surveyors had found where the mining company had punched a hole back in, and they had a camp back in there, and they worked on that for a year and a half before they abandoned it. Because it was a pocket. It was one piece, one pocket. That was it. There was no other gold around it. So anyhow, we got all that done. I got that all documented, got around, found out I couldn't put a mining claim on it. I thought, well, okay, I need to bring metal detectors in, and then you bring some people in to help me in that so that I can, because there was a lower ditch that came in, and I could see where somebody had been sluicing and ground sluicing down lower, about 300 feet down where the pocket was here, down the hillside. And I figured what they were doing is they were pulling out gold out of there. So anyhow, I go back and I talk to old Bill Stump and that in 2012, right? Back in Armadillo Mining, and I wait until everybody's all gone out of the store and that, and Samantha was in there, and she's one of the ones that helps run it. And Bob's one of the owners. Him and his wife own it. So anyhow, I tell Bob, I says, Bob, I found the Briggs pocket mine. Yeah, so? And I says, well, look. And I showed him all my paperwork and everything I'd done. He says, yeah, I know where that's at. I've known where it's at and that for 20, 30 years. I said, well, why didn't you tell me? You made me go to all this work. You could have told me where it was at. He said, you didn't ask. See?
So the moral of the story is talk with the old timers?
That's right. You talk to the old timers and you pay attention to them. You come to the gathering before the gathering.
Yeah.
That's where you learn the stuff. So consequently, in that 2 years later, I went in with, I thought they were trustworthy. My mine lab metal detector in that was dead. I didn't have the money to get it fixed. So anyhow, we brought another guy in. He had mine lab, or he had White's metal detectors. Okay, the PI metal detector, the TDI Pro, and so we came in, brought him in out, and we'd bushwhack a trail back into the thing, to pick up the lower ditch where they'd been working, and we tried running VLF machines in there, nothing. So finally, we decided to let him come in, and like a dumbass, we told him he could keep everything he found. So guess what he finds? He finds one chunk of gold the size of my fist.
Really?
Okay?
Really?
And it's a chunk of quartz, and I got pictures of it. And it has a 1-inch thick vein of gold going completely through it.
Wow.
Just like on the pictures, just like on the stories and everything else. So then in about an hour or two, he finds another one.
Really?
Yes, he finds another one about the same size. And I got pictures of them sitting there, plus a bunch of other, stuff sitting there. And because I set the whole thing up back at his place, you know, when we everybody got back. But so anyhow, that was all that, and of course I ended up with some pictures and a story, and I didn't get no gold. So now I don't go in and have partners.
Partners that you give everything to.
Yeah. We got signed documentation and that before we ever go out and put a foot to the pedal. That's okay. I'm still the one that's a pocket hunter. I know how to pocket hunt.
I like it. Well, thanks for sharing your story with us, and thanks for coming to the gathering all the way from Oregon.
Yeah, well, Dallasport, Washington.
Washington.
Yeah,
Right,
Washington. Oh, yeah.
That's it. That's a wrap.